So I'm joined by Howard and Larry, and we're gonna take a look through the top level. Howard, what's the height of these ceilings?
Under the beams, it's 12 feet.
Wow.
On this level, and on the level below, it's about 9.5 feet.
That's very high.
Yeah.
This is an incredible space as well. It's enormous.
Well, the advantage of this space is it's clear span on this level. So it means that you can work out whatever floor plan arrangements that you want. And as you can see the beams and how this was built, it can support another deck above for outdoor dining.
Rooftop patio deck.
Right.
Okay.
And that rooftop patio deck would probably be only about 4,500 square feet.
I'd like to know what all of this was.
Okay, so this area here was the upper kitchen, and everything was vented through the rooftop. With today's modern air conditioning systems and so forth, we've gotten rid of all the rooftop units because they're not required. We're going to use a geothermal heating system, and it'll be cooled by the ocean, the difference between the air temperature and the ocean temperature, which will generate the energy for the new system. One of the big issues with the barge when it was built was just the operating costs were very high, because you can see the volume of space that they've air conditioned.
It's enormous.
And with the new systems that they have in place today, the cost to air condition this building will be so small.
Much cheaper.
Yeah, like about 15%. And if you notice, there's no smell. I mean, you know, there's no odors at all. It's
No mold.
no, and it gets air circulation throughout. So we do get birds in here on occasion. There's a big labor force locally here, and if it stays here, if you know, we can do the roof, we can do a bunch of stuff before doing the illusion pond. So part will, I'm sure, be done here, and part will be done possibly in the States or in the new destination, which is not the States. Now,
do either of you know what this portion of the I assume this was kitchen area, right?
No, that was the electrical room.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Mechanical. Yeah.
This was all utilities up there. I see.
It had massive power. That's why I say it cost a lot to operate this.
This is all the electricity, the cable.
Yeah. So did it not draw power from the on land grid?
At the back of the vessel, you'll see the onshore power cable, and it's a massive aluminum wire, which comes right up through to here. These are all aluminum wire. You see here?
Yeah, I noticed them downstairs, but I couldn't tell if they were gas or.
Back, there's one of these cables that's all wound up at the back, and it would have gone to shore power. So it came to the back of the vessel and then distributed throughout here. This is the mechanical room up top.
Did it have the potential to be like have like an onboard generator and have power from the?
It had its own onboard generator in case there was a failure, and it also had its own holding tanks for sewage if the power went out.
Oh, so it could be like its own independent freestanding vessel.
Right. Yeah.
Wait, yeah. Where were the bathrooms on board?
Pardon?
Where were the bathrooms?
Well, they were. Let's see. There were bathrooms here, and there were bathrooms here. You can see the kind of layout.
Oh, okay.
And then there were bathrooms downstairs. I think there was about 12. Yeah.
2 kitchens serving 2 different counters, right?
Right. And the area that we're in was stand-up eating.
Oh, yeah.
And
Right.
yeah, and the occupancy was 1,200 people on board, and the crew was about 120.
1,200 people.
People to the space.
You know what though? When you see it empty like this is an enormous amount of space.
Oh, yeah.
But when you have all the walls in, I guess it really does divide up. So 1,200 people, I guess, makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you were to have it wide open right now, you could fit a lot more than that.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And that's where the hardwood floors used to be.
Right.
Yeah,
Especially down in this area.
Yeah.
They were all hardwood.
In the courtyard. Let's take a look at the. Or I guess the. This is a really unique portion of this here.
Yeah, it's too bad the windows are out,
Yeah.
but it's very bright space. And it's kind of nice to have the balcony here overlooking this.
So when you first took possession of the barge, what kind of condition was this in?
It was 1990, so it was 4 years after Expo. And it had deteriorated. It was sitting in Brard Inlet, and people had come on board, smashed everything, taken copper out.
Copper.
Yeah, we had a lot of copper removed, but they did us a big favor.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah, and they stripped the air conditioning units. They took whatever that they could that had any value.
All just boating to
Yeah,
and
just
from
boaters. Yeah.
the vessel.
Yeah, boaters. And but you can see the the bones of this have weathered the 30 years of
Oh, absolutely.
inactivity.
Actually, does anyone know what this was here?
Those were air conditioning ducts that, yeah, they were air conditioning ducts. Return air. That tile that I showed you, that's battleship linoleum.
Yeah.
It's about 1/4 inch thick. We took up 8,000 feet of floor area, and we made those beer coasters.
Right.
We had them cut up and made them into beer. So eventually we'll be giving those away to our patrons. We did a underwater scan of the hull. We had divers down for a couple of days cleaning off barnacles when it was in Brard Inlet, and the hull was in mint condition. No cracks. There was growth on it, but there was no issues with respect to cracks.
What drew you to purchase the barge?
I had done a lot of, I'm a developer, and I built a number of restaurants for McDonald's in Western Canada. I knew of the barge. I knew that they had some issues with the city of Vancouver with the barge and in False Creek, and so I offered to buy it from them. Had a thorough examination of it before I bought it. Concluded that it was good real estate, if I can use that expression, and I didn't have a specific concept where it would go, but I knew eventually something would ring right and I could move on it, but I never expected it would take 30 years to do that.
So you visited the expo, and then when you purchased it, that was 1990?
Yes.
1990.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
It is, yeah.
What were your initial plans for it?
I had just after I bought it, I had a number of proposals from people that wanted to partner with me on things from fast ferries to boat outstations. And I looked at them and I thought, you know, this barge with the right location will really be a cultural asset for British Columbia. I thought that, you know, I'll just have to wait it out until the right location comes up. And a few locations came up and I missed them, but that's the way it goes.
What has been the biggest issue with trying to redevelop this?
In virtually every case, it's been the upland property. It's along the Fraser River here. There's a multitude of sites that look like they would work nicely for the barge, but in fact, either the site is contaminated or the appetite for the city or the First Nations isn't there to have it. So it's been an ongoing thing to find the right town or city and the right use for the barge that would fit in with their official community plans.
And do you think now finally that the public is starting to remember back and they want to come back to McBarge?
There's very keen interest in the barge from, as you know, over 5.5 million visitations on the abandoned McBarge episode 31. But I can tell you, I get calls all the time about the barge and people offering everything from old wine bottles that have McBarge on them that they got as a present from McDonald's at some gala event to you know, outfits, crew outfits. They had 110 crew members on board for a shift. I mean, that's a lot of people. And, you know, 1,200 people, it was standing room only. So it was a major undertaking for McDonald's. It was the busiest McDonald's restaurant at the time during Expo.
Have there ever been plans, or have you ever talked to McDonald's after the Expo to bring back a restaurant here?
No, I thought about it once I had the location, but there's no sense in talking to them unless you've got just a really top-notch location. And it's got a, you know, a restaurant this size has to do a huge volume to make it work. Yeah. The capital cost is expensive. Absolutely. And, you know, selling hamburgers is a tough business to be in. Lower margins, high volume, lower margins. So finding a location that we think that we are going to be able to secure will be a really it's a window of opportunity that we've been waiting for.
Your first major development idea was the restaurant along Fraser River, is that right?
That was one of them.
One of them?
Yeah. We were also looking at it being a terminal for fast passenger-only ferry service to Vancouver Island. That never got off the ground.
What was the project that almost happened? What was the closest to becoming a reality?
I would say it was Mission. We had a location, again, it was a contaminated site. We had a very difficult vendor, and we weren't able to get the city on board. We waited for a year, a new council came in, they were very excited about it, they wanted to do it. And there were some issues on the river with the the contaminated site had to be remediated, and it was so expensive.
Really though, how annoying is it that it's taken this long and that the cards never seem to fall right for this to actually get properly developed?
You know, I've been a developer for 45, 50 years, and I just have other things on my plate that keep me going. This is a pet peeve for me. It's going to happen, but it's, you know, patience and persistence at the end of the day will pay off. But as long as I'm alive, I want to see this thing done.
Do you think it's because it's such a different type of investment property, or just property in general, because it is movable, it is on water, you have to deal with waterfront development at the same time as trying to a place to park this? So does that add to the complications?
Yes.
Rather than just on land?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and financing is not an easy one unless you own the land. You can't just lease a dock space somewhere. This is a massive project just on its own.
So anything in the future, we'll keep it under wraps, but in any future plans, do you plan to have any nods to the past Expo 86, McBarge, anything that you plan to have in the future here?
You mean in the way of artifacts, or in the
way of artifacts, in any design elements that would
Yes.
look back to what it was? In the
Yes, yes. I think that the upper deck, which is going to be an outdoor deck but covered, we're going to have a lot of artifacts from Expo 86 that people can go up on that deck and have a glass of wine and see what just walk around. It's about 4,500 square feet, and we're showcasing Expo and BC on that deck. So yeah, we plan on doing that.
That's perfect. And I guess the last question I would ask is, do you have any general, without giving any dates or any specific timeline, do you have a general layout of when you think McBarge will finally be open to the public?
Well, it's the location that we are working on. The barge is a small part of a big development, and which we're involved in as well. So yes, you know, I would say within 2 years, we hope that the barge will be moved and it will be redeveloped, the site that we're working on. It won't be completed, but the marina portion of it will be.
And are you excited for people to finally come aboard this once again?
Absolutely, and they're so excited as well. I get it all the time from people, you know.
Good. That's a good way to think then.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Okay.
Very good. Well, thank you very much, Howard.
Thank you very much. That's great.